Welcome back to Conversations with Lynn. We had an awesome month last month. We talked about prophetic ministry. We talked about the Emerge conference. We talked about just relationships and covenants between people and friends and whatnot. It was just a great month. Well, this month we have a lot of other exciting things, but today I'm going to be chatting with someone who's a dear friend, a ministry colleague. She's one of the pastors at one of the churches that I lead, Covenant Church of Pittsburgh. And she leads our abortion recovery ministry called Out of the Darkness. No, that's not. It's Deeper Still. That's what it's called, Deeper Still. And she really works with so many people, men and women, who've had to make decisions or they thought they had to make decisions. And then now they're dealing with the aftermath and the feeling that it leaves you with. So I can't wait to have her share her testimony and just how the church's response really should be to those who have had an abortion and now need to know that they are still important and loved and that their season's not up. They have a new testimony they can share and watch other people get blessed. So I can't wait. Let's welcome Janice Collins. Hey there. You're going to have to unmute. There we go.
Hey, there I am.
There you are. Wow, like
Hi.
I'm really excited about this conversation because, you know, abortion has been a hot topic for a very long time, right? Pro,
Right.
anti, the fight, right? And I
hmm
personally that the church's response has really been um, what it should be. Not
Right.
be saying, go ahead and get an abortion, 100% not, but
hmm
that's that love, acceptance, and forgiveness that we
Yes.
have to walk in. I just always on my heart. So I'm so
Mhm.
excited that you are willing to share your testimony and talk about this. And I just know it's going to be awesome. So just give us a little bit of background. And, anyone who knows me knows I love my coffee. Oh, last month for my birthday, someone got
Uh-huh.
a self-heating coffee cup.
Oh, wow. I love that. I
Yeah.
love my coffee too.
Yeah, I tell people that Conversations with Lynn is a whole bunch of nothing and a little bit of content. So, my self-heating coffee cup needed to make the show.
That's
Uh,
amazing.
and
So
it's
look
gonna be
what I have.
other things.
My Emerge
You're a
women
cup. Woohoo!
from the retreat.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna drink my coffee and you just
Mhm.
you know, share your story for a little bit and
Okay.
like your journey.
Yeah. Yes. So, yep, I'm so excited to do this. And I had shared with Pastor Lynn that every time I share it, give the devil a black eye because I was so bound up before I was able to be healed enough
Hmm.
to share my story. And you're right, in the church, it's like you just don't feel the freedom to say anything because I was afraid talking about me, but I've talked to other women, afraid of if people find out what I did, they won't love me,
Yeah.
the shame and the condemnation that you carry around. It just causes you to shrink
Mm.
and to not feel worthy
And
enough
the
to
church is
even.
the last place that someone should ever feel
Yeah,
shame
yeah,
to be because
yeah,
that's exactly where people should want to go when they need their
mhm,
hearts healed.
yeah. And the fact that it's not talked about, you don't feel like you have the freedom to even say, "Hey, I did this and I need healed."
Mhm.
And which is what the enemy wants. He does never wants you because he's constantly. I'll talk for myself. I had two abortions. Um, And the enemy was constantly condemning me
Mhm.
and accusing me. Look what you did. You killed your kids. We know he's the accuser of the brethren.
Right.
So he was constantly, because I was holding it in, he had something to come for and come for me.
We call that the
So
shame, fear, and control cycle, right? You're ashamed of
yeah.
something. I got that from
Mhm,
my ministry with RTF, Restoring the Foundations.
mhm.
And when you're ashamed of something, you're afraid that people won't love you anymore, accept you anymore.
Right.
So then you have to control the narrative all the time. Control
Mhm,
what they know, control what's said,
mhm.
and that just
Yeah,
keeps you in this cycle of
yeah,
the more you hold it, the more you're shamed, and the more the enemy has operation to just mess with your
yeah.
head.
Mess with your head. Then you go in this spiral. Like for me, I was always afraid it was going to slip out because I like to talk. Everybody that knows me knows I like to talk.
And
So
we
I'm
have a similar way of talking. You know, my
yeah.
friend Stu Glassborough makes fun of me all the time because he says, I can't understand you if your hands aren't moving. We're animated people, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, okay. And I'm very transparent, but I was always able to stop
Mm,
because I'm talking to you and I don't want you not to like me
yeah.
because I don't want to tell you this part of my life. So I always say the enemy tells you to sin, then he punishes you for doing it.
Ooh, that is so good.
Yeah.
The
He
enemy
pun-
tempts you and gets you to sin,
yeah,
and he
and then he
punishes
punishes
you
you after you
doing
do
it.
it. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. And
That's
yet we
our
play his
reward.
game. And yet
Yeah.
we play his game all the time.
Yeah.
One on the board for
Hmm.
Annis, you know,
Yeah.
that's deep right there.
Yeah.
I
It's
will be
really,
stealing that,
really
and you
deep.
will see that in post or
Yes,
something.
you may
Yeah.
steal that. So I was very young and I was dating a guy at another school. He was a star football player. I wasn't even allowed to be going to that school because my mom told me that I wasn't supposed to go there, but I was hanging out with my older sister. And
Older
so,
sisters.
yeah, so she would say, okay, you can come, but if you tell mom I told you you could come, then I'll kill you. So that was our secret. She's taking me there. And so I don't know what it was about me, but I always liked to be around older people. I never wanted to be with even girls my age. I liked hanging with my sister and her friends. So I am 14 years old. But at 14, I was always able to put my makeup on, always acted older,
Listen,
and
this woman
always
always
wanted to
looks
be.
like she's put together, like the stilettos. Like I walk in, I think to myself, one day I'll be a grown up, be able to look like her. But, you know, today's not the day. But you know, it's all good. It's all good. The
Yeah,
heart is still full of so
yeah,
much love.
yeah. Yeah, so that was, me wanting to be grown. I'm just going to put it that way. So I finally get the attention of the star football player who was 17 at the time. I'm 14. He had a car. We're sneaking around dating. So I'm sneaking around. We have sex in the back seat of his car at the park. I get pregnant like the second time. Don't even know. I'm like, what was this all about? I mean, I was a child, had no business. Yeah,
14. Oh my God.
14. So I'm pregnant. I never told my mom. I thought I was hiding it, but moms know. Like she looked at me one day and she said, don't you have something to tell me? No. She goes, yes, you do. She said,
Mm.
I could see it in your face and I could see it in your neck. And she said, it's crazy. She said, you have a second heartbeat. I was like, what? She said, I see that bleeding in your neck. So anyway, she knew. She cried. We cried. And she goes, I don't know how I'm going to tell your daddy, but let me handle it. And she goes, I'll pick out the time to tell him. So I'm walking in fear at home now because I don't know what my dad's going to do. I thought my mom was going to be crazy. But, strangely enough, she wasn't. She embraced me and we cried.
And you know what though? I think that right there is something that we as moms need to hear.
Hmm.
Like you're already saying that you're embarrassed, you're upset, you know you've done something that you shouldn't have done. And we need to learn that the first thing that our kids need is not the judgment and the criticism,
And the
the
rejection.
rejection. They need you to love on them.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and
Yeah.
remind them that their future's not over.
Yeah.
There's still hope, but I
Yeah.
don't think we do that.
We
And then
don't
that's what pushes them to the next step, right?
do the next step.
Because the world says, we got an answer for you.
Hmm. And that's all they say too.
We have an
So
answer for that.
yeah, yeah.
You don't even have
And
to
my
tell your dad. You don't have to tell your dad who's going to freak
yeah,
out.
your
Yeah.
dad's gonna kill you. And that's what I thought.
Mhm.
My mom told my dad's I started showing, so she had to tell him. And he's told my mom, I knew she was picking up weight because I used to be like a string bean back in the day. So he said, I knew she's
I was
picking up
never a
weight.
string bean ever. I think I was born
Yeah,
with curves and I kept
yeah.
them all.
Yeah.
No curves I wanted, then no
Yeah.
curve, then curve. Wow,
Yeah.
never could be
My
me.
brothers used to tell me I could walk through raindrops and not get wet. That's how skinny.
Oh, brothers are so cruel. They'll
Oh,
say
so
something.
cruel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't even know how my siblings found out. I'm of one of seven. So I don't even remember how they found out. Um, I remember telling my sister and she cried. She was scared for me. You know,
They all
we would
thought
be
dad was
in the,
going to kill you.
yeah, we all thought I'm just dead. And so my mom did tell me, she goes, "Oh, we had such big plans for you." And then I felt crushed that I messed up their plans. But I remember
Oh,
her crying so like every day she was crying. And then I felt so bad, which
wow.
will lead me into why I had the abortion.
That's just so like they had such plans for you.
She said they had plans for me. I didn't
Like
know.
we
So I
don't
feel like I was
realize
letting it down.
we say things
Mhm.
and we don't realize the weight of
Yep.
those things that we say. You know, my husband
Yep.
wrote a book, Voice Activated, and it's all about how our voice, we say things and we activate things.
Mhm.
And your mom said that. Like all of a sudden, you're not just feeling like you let yourself down. You've like ruined, like you've ruined
Very.
plans.
And you know what? That was the biggest thing. Cuz me and my mom were so close. I didn't want to let her down and I didn't want to see her cry like that. So, I kept that child. That's my 53-year-old son that I have. I kept him. I'm still dating this guy. 6 months later, I get pregnant again.
Mm.
This is the time when I said, I'm not going to tell my mom, I'm not going to let anybody know. My brothers, they were kind of like disappointed in me. So I could see, like, in my family, there was kind of like that, oh, look at her, look what she did. So when I got pregnant again, because of the reactions, except for my mom loving me, but the fact that I let him down, I said to myself, I'm not going to see my mom cry like that again. So I go to the
Once
abortion.
I've let her down
Yeah,
hard once. I'm not doing it again.
I'm not going to do it again. I'm not going to see her cry. And then my dad actually took me out for ice cream after he found out. He says, come take a ride with me when I was pregnant with my first child, before the abortion. And so I went for a ride with him. And I was like, he's going to kill me and push me over the hill. He just said, me and you. And I'm fearful in the car.
Yeah.
And he drove up, and I remember we got the ice cream, and he got back in the car. He said, I just wanted to take my little girl out for ice cream one more time. So it was like, you have really messed up. You really messed up. So,
You
as I
see
said,
yourself going back into a place of that
mhm,
being his little girl again.
yeah,
You screwed up.
yeah,
Now you're
you're not
finally
my
back in
little girl.
you're back in their graces,
Yeah,
little girl again, and then you're gonna have to tell him.
yeah, I did it again. Yeah. So I said, nope. Found out. So through one of my sister's friends, I found out about Planned Parenthood. And I think, Planned Parenthood, I don't want to get, I mean, I want to get an abortion. I don't want to plan my parenthood. And they're like, no, 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 no. That's just the name.
Oh,
Deception.
it's so sneaky, isn't it?
So deceptive. And I was like, okay. And I said, well, I don't have insurance. I don't have anything. And they told me, just go down there. Your mom has insurance, you know. And so I went. When I went in there, they asked me my age. Now I'm almost 16 now. I had my son. I had him when I was 15. So he's 6 months. I'm going into being 16 years old. They didn't care, 15 and a half. The first thing they said, we will not tell your parents. So they make a pact of deception with you right then and there. I'm too young to go to the doctors by myself, but I can go into the abortion clinic.
You can't get your ears pierced without your parents'
Yeah,
signature.
yeah. But they told me right off the bat, oh, you're 15. We won't
I
tell your
got you.
parents. We got you. And then they tell you, we'll call you and we'll use a code name if you don't answer the phone. So your code name will be Tina. We'll ask for Tina. They'll say you have the wrong number. Then you'll know that's us and you call us back. So they have this all set up. So I go in.
Do people know
They
all
don't
of
know. Nope, they don't know. So when you go in there, this is what they say. Are you planning to go to college? I said, I don't know. Are you planning? Well, this is the best decision that you can make for you. So the enemy's already telling you you can't do it. You can't have this. So they come into agreement with the lie that you're getting told by the enemy and reinforce it.
Mhm.
And so you think they have your best interests at heart. So I'm young. These people really want to help me. They want to help me get rid of this so that I don't be ashamed again. They're telling me this is the best thing for me and you have your whole future. So then I hear my mom say, we had such big plans for you. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is going to be good for me because they're telling me this will be the best thing. And you're young, you can always, you have one child, you'll get married one day and you can have more kids. So it's all to convince you that this is the best thing for you. And you've already told yourself it's the best thing for you.
And where's the church in this in your life? Were you going to church at all at this point or?
Well, I was going with my parents, but I didn't have my own relationship. I had their relationship with Jesus. So we're going to church,
Mhm.
but I didn't have a relationship. We just went on Sundays. My mom loved Jesus. I know she did because she was the one that would tell me about him, but I didn't have my own relationship with
Is
him.
there anyone in the church at that time that you felt safe enough that you could have been like, I'm going
Mm-mm.
through this
Mm.
and they're telling me this?
There was
Is there
nobody,
nobody?
nobody. I didn't feel.
Yeah, and that's I think where one of my girlfriends shared this story with me and it just like broke my heart. Now she had a different experience, which was great.
Mhm,
Like I wonder if this person really worked for the organization or if it was an
mhm.
angel in disguise who showed up there, right?
Yeah.
She said, um, she goes in, she's in the waiting room, and you can all the girls are there with their heads down. Like you can kind of, she said, you could tell none of us really wanted to be like, I'm here, but don't look at me.
Mhm.
She goes in and she gets the spiel, but the woman was so caring and loving. And she said, before you make this decision, I really want you to talk to your parents.
Mm. Wow.
I'm like, angel in disguise, like,
Angel.
because this pact that they're supposed to have, she actually told her, go talk to your parents and just
Mhm.
see. And it was those words that she went and talked to her parents and then ended up not doing it. But what was sad, and we're talking, sorry, it was just like it was someone in a secular organization
Mhm.
who did the right thing.
Mhm.
It wasn't someone in the church
In the church.
who did the right thing.
Yeah. Nobody talked about it in church. So therefore, I didn't feel like I could talk about it. I never heard anybody say, "Hey, one Sunday," even when we talked about Christmas and Christ being born and Mary being so young and she had the baby, and I'm thinking, okay, I wonder what happened with her. But nobody, the word abortion was never
Never talk about it.
spoken of.
And the thing is, though, I remember when I was in youth group, you know, it was always thou shalt not, don't have sex before marriage, don't
Mhm,
all these different things,
mhm,
don't. But I don't remember anyone ever saying, but if this has been your story,
mhm. There's help for
because
you.
people come into youth group in church at
Mhm.
different times in their
Yeah,
life. We can't expect
absolutely.
people to be living by the Bible standards
Mhm.
when they don't even know Jesus. So people
Right.
coming into the church at different times in their life where they've been out in the world doing the world thing,
Mhm,
or like me,
mhm,
grew up in church, but the pressure's always there. And it was always about that side. You better stay pure. You better not do this.
mhm,
But,
mhm.
but we understand if this wasn't your story, we love you, and the Lord can redo something. And though your
Yeah,
body may never be a virgin again, we can consecrate your heart and you can
right.
start fresh, right?
Yeah.
And I actually had to take a moment of repentance
Mhm,
because I was a youth pastor for years, and I don't remember me ever approaching the story that way
mhm, mhm.
in the years that I was a youth pastor. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
and I see things so differently now. Not that I would ever not like I say, listen, we're going to preach the purity message.
Mhm.
There's something beautiful about saving yourself until marriage. And the most beautiful thing about it is the emotional baggage
Yeah.
that you don't
Yep.
like. There's enough emotional baggage.
Yeah.
The comparison of this boyfriend that you had before or this girlfriend you had
Mhm,
before, and now like, ooh, are they as good as, or am I, all
mhm.
those things. But there's already all kinds of emotional baggage. Why add anything extra to it by having
Right.
the relationships? But so I think, listen, if you're teaching at your church and your youth group a purity message, keep teaching it. We
Keep
are,
it.
don't take from this conversation that we're saying, stop teaching
Mhm.
that. But what we're saying,
Yeah.
teach the other side too.
Yeah.
But they
And
may
it's
your
good.
youth group or your church, and they've
Yeah.
already done that. They've
Yeah.
already are carrying the weight and the burden of a past
Mhm.
choice.
Right.
Let's not
Yeah.
make it compound
Mhm.
that now they're going to hide from the healing that they need.
Right.
Because not
Right.
only are they afraid their parent is going to be mad at them,
Mhm.
now they're afraid their mentor and their youth leader is going to be
Yeah.
mad at them. Let's find a way to embrace them.
Mhm. And love them because back in my day, they weren't even talking about sex. Like we that was a taboo. Like, you were told not to do it, but there was no reason giving
Mhm.
you why stay pure. How do I do that? You know? And like I said, we were going to church, but I wasn't involved in church. We were Sunday.
Yeah.
We went
We're a
Sunday,
Sunday
didn't
believer.
go to youth group, any of that. So there was no mention of anything about sex, not even from our parents. Like it was limited even at home to talk about it. Um, so
Because I think they believe
when this
that if we talk about it, kids will do it.
people do it, but
Like
yeah,
if we bring it up,
yeah,
that's what
they're
happens.
gonna do it.
So
Yeah,
let's not bring it up
yeah,
versus how about bring it up so that they feel comfortable talking to us about it,
right,
you know?
right. And that's the wrong approach. I told my kids, I have 3 living kids. And I told all my kids the whole story about sex and everything. There was no abortions or anything like that. And my mom told me, she said, you're telling them too much. I said, no, mom, I didn't get told enough. I want them to be aware. So if they make the choice, it's not because they didn't know.
Yeah, I
They
used to
had
teach.
all the information.
Yeah, I actually worked for a nonprofit for years, and I would go to schools and I would talk about, it was a Christian organization, so it was abstinence education, right? And
Hmm.
so they were expecting me to come in with just this don't have sex message.
Hmm.
And I did, but I had a whole different perspective. And I talked about that, 100 years ago, there was no adolescence.
Right, right.
Okay? You, as a female, you reached puberty and you were getting married. Most
Mhm.
likely there's someone 10 plus years older than you. Like,
Right.
so
Absolutely.
tell this 13-year-old, this 12-year-old now, because their puberty's coming earlier and earlier,
Mhm.
they're not going to have these feelings and that it's a sin to have those feelings. You're wrong.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
100 years ago, they're not only getting married, the parents are like paying people to marry. Like
that's
it's
right.
a thing.
Yeah, and they're
And
having babies young.
they're having babies. Having a baby at 13, 14 years old,
Mhm.
completely normal. So this whole message that you're not old enough is
Mhm.
the wrong message. The message that I gave was, you've been given this gift called adolescence that 100 years ago they did not have. When they were hit puberty, they were getting married, and now it's time to have a family and be an adult. You
Yeah.
have this beautiful time in your life where your only real responsibility is get to school on time, do your work. You may or may not
Mhm.
have a part-time job, but your only real job is go to school.
Yeah.
You get to be in clubs and organizations and have trips and do things. I shared the story that when I was 16, I got to spend the summer in Venezuela doing missions
Mhm.
work. And the next year in Honduras, overseas. I would not have been able to do that if
Yep.
I was pregnant or had a child. It would
Yep.
have been very difficult. So we have this gift of adolescence.
Mhm.
Use it.
Yep.
Use
And
it.
if somebody's telling you that, because I have the flip side of that,
Mhm.
of being a parent at
Mhm.
age 15
Mhm.
and having the whole responsibility of raising the child. Um, I didn't go to my prom. And I think my mom did that. She was teaching me responsibility because there was a lot of stuff she wouldn't. She babysat if I needed something important, but she was teaching me that I can't just get up and go now because I have this little life
Mhm.
dependent on
Yeah.
me. So
But
that helped me make the decision as well. Abortion is a selfish decision.
mhm.
It's all about you. And the enemy makes it all about you. And then the abortion clinic
Reinforces it.
comes into agreement and say, yeah, you can have kids later. And that young lady you were talking about, that had to be an angel
Yeah.
because neither time that I went did anyone try to talk me out of it.
And the thing
They
is,
talked me into it.
and the thing is this, it's like, because I've not always, but I've been in pastoral ministry and counseling ministry, that type of
Mhm.
thing. Like, so I get to have conversations with a lot of women in a lot of different scenarios in life, from secular world to the church. And I've actually never once in my life met someone who had an abortion or was thinking about an abortion simply because of it's all about me and I don't want this baby. I don't
Mhm.
like babies. Never. It was, I can't handle this. I don't have support. If I'm going to be able to be successful, if I'm going to be able, like, how can I do both? I can't. And it it is a selfish decision in the long run, but I don't think any of them ever make the decision because I just don't want to be a mom
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
I just hate babies. They're pushed there because of
Mhm.
circumstances and the lack of supports
Yeah. Which
that
is all
is,
selfish.
yeah,
At the end of the day, it's all a selfish decision
no.
because you don't take into consideration who this child might be, what they might grow up to be.
But I
Mhm.
think we as a church take responsibility though. This is what we've
Mhm.
done. This is what we've done as the church. We were told to take care of the orphans and the widows and the poor,
Mhm.
right? All the things. But we decided that, you know what? The government can take care of that.
Mhm.
They can do it. They have the resources. And we decided at some point that our selfish well-being was more important than
Mhm.
doing taking care of the orphans and the widows and the poor,
Yeah. Yep.
right? And because we never thought the enemy would distort. what the government
Mhm.
is doing.
Yeah.
When, but when in history has government ever stayed pure?
Yeah. Never.
Eh, It's always been,
Never.
you know,
Yep.
but we decided we gave education, school, we gave education to the world, and then we're mad because what's being taught in schools.
Yeah. They took it over. Well, we handed it to them.
We
And
didn't
see, government had a solution. The
have,
church didn't.
yeah. And so I think that's where I want to get with this conversation is
Mhm.
if the church could start having like a solution versus a
Mhm.
judgment,
Yep.
you know, if we can pick it and we can say all these things all we want, but if the only people who are actually loving on these girls, if the only people that are saying there is hope for you if you do this,
Mhm.
then who are they going to go to?
Right.
They're going to go to the person who has hope for them,
Mhm.
says, here's a solution that will help you. Because we are
Yeah.
by nature selfish people. We are, you know,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is, when it gets down to it, we are selfish people
Mhm.
and we need guidance in how to be selfless.
Yep.
But
Selfish.
but
Mhm.
we don't give guidance on how to be
Yeah.
selfless. We
Yeah.
don't share those things. We just cast judgment
Mhm.
and then say whatever, you know. And one of the things that we're doing at Covenant, we're doing at Oasis. I'm sure there's other churches and there's other people doing this. So this is not something that's like just I thought up, right? Or
Mhm.
anyone thought up. But there are starting to be a small cluster of ministries and churches that are saying, okay, we won't be the hands and feet, you know, just
Yeah.
um, we've done it twice where we've people just collecting baby goods from
Mhm.
shelters to
Yeah.
onesies and doing free
Mhm.
stores where they go
Right. They
and
can get you.
and
Yeah.
just get whatever they need, you know,
Mhm.
no questions asked, not making them promise they'll never do this again, but just saying, listen, we're here to help, we're here to support. Can we get you to the doctor's office?
Mhm.
You know, um, we'll watch your children
Mhm.
so that you can have some time to yourself, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
being that support system. And it doesn't cost us anything to do
Mm-mm.
just
Just
things
time and love.
time and love, where it's like,
Mhm.
you know, you maybe you don't have grandkids. Well, I bet there's a single mom in your church,
Mhm.
in your neighborhood, that you can be a grandma for their child.
Yeah. And then too, tell them because nobody ever said in the abortion clinic, did you think about having a baby and putting it up for adoption? Having families in the church that are willing to adopt. Once the
Yeah.
young ladies, you tell them to keep their baby and they really, really can't see how
Mhm.
to raise it, having families ready to
There's
say, hey, I'll
so
take this
many
baby.
families.
Mhm.
People, you know, now this is where I can get on a high horse and be really like, um, just like the cost of adoption. I get it. It is so expensive. It should not be, but it
Mhm.
is. But there is a route that people don't know about that's
Mhm.
fostering to adoption.
Yeah.
You foster a child, and over time, that
Mhm.
child is yours, you know, and it is a much less expensive way to do it if the finances are an issue. But can you imagine, not every Christian, just if every church fostered a child,
Yeah.
like in every church in America, in the world, if we chose to support a family that's going to foster. So the Joneses are going to foster this child. Then this church just rallies around that family,
Mhm.
helps them out when they can. It wouldn't even take every Christian to do it. Just if every church would support
Yeah.
one family
Yeah.
doing it, we would eradicate the foster care system.
Mhm. Yep, and if the word was out, people would know that, hey, this is a safe place. One of the things I would like to see is pregnant, if, when a young girl gets pregnant, if she would feel like the church is a safe place
Place to go. Yeah.
to go.
Well, one thing,
And when she starts getting big, she
yeah,
still feels safe and
still
she's
feel
not
safe.
going to be looked down on. And, because life happens. We would like it to be real tidy and neat,
Yeah,
but life happens like it did with me.
yeah.
And
And
for
look at
me to
you.
have,
You're
yeah,
highly successful.
yeah,
Say hi
and
to
I, yeah,
you.
yeah, and I did it twice. And I think back now, how did I make that? It was so devastating the first time. How did I make the decision to do it again? But one of the things I know, the first time I had was called dissection. And
Mhm.
it's, like being at the gynae, and they actually do a sonogram. You don't see it, but they want to see where their fetus, the baby, is positioned so that they can do the
Do the
procedure.
care.
Um, but what I found out later is that when your baby gets taken away from you like that, your heart gets hardened because your soul
Yeah,
and your heart
yeah.
goes right out.
Well, and that's like, that I love that you're saying that because we think that this is the epitome of a sinful act, but all sins
Mhm.
like that, right? The first
Right.
time you tell a little lie and you get away with it,
Mhm.
it gets you out of trouble. Huh. It's
That
easier
part.
to that to the next one and the next one.
Yep.
Everything
Mhm.
works that way. When you do
Yeah.
something the first time, it's a little bit easier the
Mhm.
next time, and
The next time.
it hardens
Yeah.
your hopes towards it.
It hardens your heart. And so when I talk to women now about it, and some of them have had more abortions than I have, and they're like, "How could I do such a thing?" I said, "Because you don't know your heart gets hard."
Mhm.
So then you make that decision. Well, I did. I made that decision again. And the second time, I was going to keep the baby.
Mhm.
So I waited way too long.
Yeah.
But they had a solution. At McGee Hospital, we birth babies on one side and we abort them on the other side.
That
So I actually had what they call therapeutic abortion.
What a beautiful term for it to just make it
Isn't it?
so
It's
plain.
therapeutic. And I was told again, just the mind game,
Mhm.
honey, you're so beautiful. Yeah, the guy said your whole life ahead of you. This is just a little bump in the
Just a
road.
blip, it's nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. But what they don't tell you, it's easier to have the baby because your life gets put on hold after you have the abortion. And that's what stops you from going forward because it's a downward spiral after that of emotional
And like,
spiral.
before we even go, like if you're watching this and you are a victim of abortion trauma, if you are right now in a situation financially, you're in a situation emotionally, and you're like, I'm in this state, I'm in this situation, and I don't know what to do. Get help. You know,
Mm-hmm.
if you're in the Columbus area, Oasis City Church, we will help you. The
Yeah.
Pittsburgh area, Covenant Church of Pittsburgh will help you. There are um, crisis pregnancy centers that will
Yes.
help you get on the right path, um, and connect you with other ministries and organizations that will be that support. But even more so, I want you to know that being pregnant is not a sin. I
Mm-mm.
never thought of it this way before until we were actually the president of Heartbeat International attends Oasis City Church. It just so happens
Uh-huh.
that uh, the headquarters is in Columbus. He attends our church. And we were touring our staff through so they could just see what they do and whatnot. And he made this statement. It was just like, oh my gosh, so true, so right. Being pregnant isn't a sin. And so when someone comes into your church, when you meet someone who is pregnant and not married, their pregnancy is not a sin. If you
Nope.
if we realize what it takes for the female body to actually get pregnant, it is
Mm.
miraculous.
Yes. It's
Like it
beautiful.
like it's a big deal. Ask
Yeah.
that person who's struggling getting pregnant. It's a big
Yeah.
deal. So that life, like it is planned. It may have been a
Hmm.
surprise to you, but it is
Yeah.
planned. And when someone comes into your church and you know that they are a single mom or they're pregnant, listen, the pregnancy is not the problem at
It
all.
is
Yes,
not.
how they got pregnant, they need to repent,
Mm-hmm.
learn from, change and do things differently 100%. But
Right.
we can't treat their pregnancy like a sin because if God didn't allow them to get pregnant, they wouldn't be pregnant,
Yeah.
right?
God is the creator of life.
He's a creator.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so it's not a sin. You know what? When I was before God started telling me to tell my testimony, because and I also want to let women know if you have had an abortion, there is healing for you.
He's healing.
I am twice aborted. Um, I have 3 living children that God blessed me with. They are a joy. I have 9 grandchildren and 8 great grandchildren.
Mhm.
So there is life after an abortion. There is healing after an abortion. So don't feel condemned to the point where you don't feel like you're getting healed, because there is that deep tissue healing. And the Lord had told me this, that he healed people before he ever went to the cross to die for our sins. Jesus went around healing. That's how much healing is important to
Yeah.
God and restoring us back to the Father. That before Jesus died on the cross for our sins, he went about healing people.
Yeah.
And so that's important. And so I want them to know that healing is important to the Lord.
You're
And he
still
wants all
valuable.
of us healed.
You're
Yep.
still valuable. You're still loved. You are still
Yeah.
needed. You
He
still have
didn't
purpose.
change his mind about you.
He has
Yeah.
not changed his mind about you. And
Mhm.
I love you do a weekend called Deeper Still.
Yes.
And
Got
you literally take ladies and gentlemen now. I don't know if it's anything
we
like
got two now.
you don't always have a lot of men who want to do it, but
Yeah.
but were you actually looking for a weekend of healing? And
Yes.
it just
Yes.
sound like talk about that just for a minute.
Okay. Yep. My pleasure. I am so glad. Actually, I met a lady at Covenant. I was sitting there and she had no idea I was post abortive. And she said, I was looking at the back of your head for 3 months with this material. God told me to give it to you. But see, again, she was scared to approach me. And she came and she was shaking and she said, Pastor Janice, I was supposed to give you this. And I looked at it and it said, Healing the Abortion Wounded Heart. And I grabbed her and hugged her. And I said, Yep, I'm post abortive. And she just melted in my arms.
Mm,
She was crying
yeah.
because she was so happy that she did it. But then I could feel her compassion.
Mhm.
And I said, This is good. So that's how I found out about it.
And it's great because it's
Years
free.
later,
And it's
huh?
like free, right? It's like
It's free. Everything's free. You come, all you have to do is show up.
so
You
just
send
get
you,
there. However, whatever it
yeah,
costs you to get to
yeah,
the
you
event.
get there. It doesn't cost you anything. You just get there. And so now I counsel women who are post abortive like myself to let them know this hope, to let them know that God's forgiven them, that their babies are in heaven. Nobody ever told me that. When I found out that my 2 aborted children were in heaven and I would see them again, I was able to breathe.
Yeah,
Just that information
it was just
caused me to breathe.
yeah.
It's caused some of that shame and condemnation.
I say this phrase often, and what we're willing to reveal, God can
Mhm.
heal.
He can
And
heal.
so if we're willing to open up, be hot, honest, open,
Yeah.
and transparent,
Yep. Yeah.
and take that to Jesus, he will heal you from that.
He'll heal
And
you.
so I love this weekend because you get away from
You
all
get
the
away
stuff, and there's just people pouring into you all weekend.
all weekend.
You
And
know,
it's away in a beautiful campground area. It's quiet. Nature's all around. It's beautiful. And it's all about the woman or man that comes. They have so much attention. We give 2 counselors to each person
yeah.
and we walk them through everything. We cut soul ties. We cut we do restoration, restore your heart back, restore you back to your community. Some people were like me, they haven't even told anybody. I held my second abortion for 40 years before I It wasn't until I went to deeper still, I felt free enough. Once we tell on what the enemy did to us, he doesn't have anything to come back for.
Yeah. The other
So
thing
we,
we do
yeah,
that's
we minister
beautiful.
to them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you minister, you love on them, you
yeah,
show them.
we love
I love it
them. We,
and
yeah,
or you like have like this celebration.
yeah, we have
Yeah.
them. We allow them to grieve their children because it's such a secret. You never grieve your
Mhm.
aborted child.
Mhm.
We allow them to name them. We pray with them and let the Holy Spirit just tell them even what sex it was, and it always happens.
Wow, so
My
beautiful.
two children have names. We give them teddy bears. Well, we don't give them to them. We sit them on the table,
Mhm.
and we put some in boys' clothes and some in girls' clothes, so they have something to hold on to, a tangible thing a tangible thing that represents their child.
Yeah,
We have a memorial service because we never memorialize our children.
yeah.
So we have the
In the
memorial.
chat, put your website for that. So that
Okay.
when people are watching this, whether they're watching it when it airs at 10 a.m. or if they're watching it on
Right.
replay, put the information there so they can get a part of that, be a part of that.
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
so
And
like
it's free.
it's free. You just have to get there. The other thing that we
Yep.
do is called issue focused ministry, and it's a 3.5 hour just inner healing, like deep cleanse. And I really encourage you, if let's say you want to do the weekend, but you know you can't do the weekend right away, come and get an issue focused um, ministry. We take that issue that you're dealing with, the shame, the rejection, the fear that led
Mhm.
to the abortion, right? That led to it, and we get
Right.
all of that healed so that you won't be possibly be back and be a number two because your heart's been hardened, right?
Mhm.
If you're
Mhm.
watching this and that you know that you have some bitterness or anger because someone that was close to you had an abortion, get deal with it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Get a issue focused ministry. We deal with
Mhm.
all those things. Healing is there. The Bible says that healing is his children's bread, right?
Right.
And he wants us healed. I
Yes.
think salvation is just, get us to heaven. Well, nope. Salvation is
Mhm.
saved, healed, delivered, set free, that we can walk in this life,
Yep.
freedom. And it's so important, and we need that. I mean, this is great stuff. We're going to do this again.
Yeah.
Um,
It'll be so good. Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah.
And like, I just appreciate what you're doing, and helping to set people free. And I just like I said, if you're watching this, we can help you start. We call it Love for Two. You know,
Mhm.
it help you start a grassroots Love for Two ministry at your church, so that you have what's the collecting material, just the whole whatever you can do. Um,
Yeah.
I encourage you go to your local schools and whatnot and say, hey, our church is a safe place. If you hear a girl who needs help, we're there. There's just things that you can do.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
let's change the world's perspective of the church when it comes to things like this.
Yeah.
My prayer that when someone's in any kind of trauma, their first response is, I need to go to church.
Mhm. And it's a safe place for me to
It's a
be.
safe place for me to get healed
Mhm.
and get direction,
Right.
for your judgment. So thank you so much for sharing
You're
today.
welcome.
We're
And
gonna
there is deeper still chapters. And so if you're not in Pennsylvania, if you're close, you can come to this retreat or retreats. But if you go on that website, you'll see one close to you.
it's national. Yeah, it's
Yes,
national.
and
Thanks
it's
so much.
even in China. They have it.
Wow.
They
Wow.
have a they have a facility in China where the abortion rate. They're those women have to get abortions until
Yeah.
they get pregnant with a girl. But
Same thing with the issue focused ministry. I'll
mhm.
put in the chat as well, where you can go and get an issue focused session anywhere in the world
Yeah.
where they're offered. You do not have to be in Pittsburgh or Columbus. They're
Mhm.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Let's walk in healing. Well, thanks
Yeah.
again.
You're
And,
welcome. Thanks for having me.
right.
Okay.
Wow. Like that was a lot of deep stuff, a lot of information, but truly, just like we said, if you are experiencing abortion trauma, if you're pregnant and considering abortion and you need help, contact us. We want to help. We want to make sure that you get what you need so that you can keep your child. But, and there's a future and a hope for you, no matter where you are. Well, thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep smiling.